call to order the Citrus County Tourism Development Council for June 8th, 2022. Jackie, would you like to do the order?
Yes, ma'am, I'd be pleased. Thank you. If y'all join me, please. Let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you again for the chance to come here and meet together to work for the betterment of all the people in Citrus County and keep those tax dollars and tourist dollars coming in, Lord, if it's your will, and we pray it is. We thank you for the fact that we live in a free country and that we live in the best county and the best cities in that free country. We just thank you, Lord, for all you do. Pray you bless all our first responders, and just thank you again for everything. And it's in Jesus' name we pray and thank you. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please.
So on the roll call today, we have present. We have Chair Holly Davis, Council Member Jackie Hever, Dr. Paresh Desai, Michael Mankey, and Ashton Schrock. Absent are Vice Chair Mike Ingalls, Council Member Cindy Guy, Michael Shoemaker, and Jean McGee. We have 5 present, so we have a quorum.
Awesome. Let's see, looking for approval of the agenda with the move of D3, correct?
Correct.
To see
Yeah,
that
that's our
first.
one voting item, so we're going to move that forward in case we lose a quorum. So that's the one we needed to get moving.
Okay.
Move approval with the change.
Second.
All those in, or any comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's, looking for a motion to approve item B. 1.
Move to approve minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, should we move up the voting item now or
Yes.
after? Okay,
Yeah, well, we'll do open to the public, but
okay,
Yeah.
open to the public.
and then we'll do that.
Would anybody like to address the board?
We're all looking at you because you're the only public. Don't feel self-conscious. It's good. It's okay. You're good.
Okay, D3?
Okay. So, last month when we brought forward the Tempest marketing option on the website that was approved, it was also mentioned that we didn't have an advertising policy in terms of how to participate with the Bureau on paid advertising. And so I worked with legal to come up with this policy where it also covers what's in the Welcome Center. We did have it written into the contract with Tempest to on how to properly advertise with us. But this policy gives us the, I guess, the strength to say yes or no on things. And so essentially the policy are, the key points are 1 through 4 that you see on the list, which is we tied it to the statute. So the first publication is must have a physical presence or conduct business within the borders of Citrus County was the first one. So the second one is that the advertisements must comply with state statute 125.0104, which defines how tourism marketing can be used, and with the key phrasing from to market and promote an increase in tourist-related businesses and businesses activities, and that's the key part of it. It's a positive. Yeah, everything is to promote doing the activities here. Then another one to further what we're doing with Tempest is that the advertising on our website and the URL which you would be directed to must meet the requirements of the policy. So it must also follow through as a promotion of tourism all the way through, not just the ad that the user sees, but also the in destination when they click through. And then the final one was that all advertising must be appropriate for all audiences and comply with the American Disabilities Act. So especially on the Disability Act side is more for certainly for the web, to make sure that the readers can see it for the visually impaired. So that's the core of it. So I think, and then what we're looking for today is a recommendation to send this to the county commission for approval, so it becomes a permanent policy for the county.
Excellent. Board?
I like it.
I love the increase, the word increase,
Yeah.
activities.
Right, that's right out of the statute, and so that gave it, thankfully, that part of the statute wasn't tinkered with as they continue to adjust it, but that one made it clear that that's what we're trying to do, is promote an increase. So that gives us keeps us on the positive side of what we're trying to do.
Good. Looking for a motion then?
I move we approve and send to the county commission.
Okay.
I'll let Dr. Desai have one.
Oh, okay. You go ahead, Doc, I'll second you.
Okay, record Doc has the
Yes.
first. Jackie has the second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, so we are now to D1.
Yes. Research Data Services is our contracted research firm. So they're here today to present the annual report and where some of the trends and things that we're seeing in this first half of calendar 22. So, and with Research Data Services here, and so we'll turn it over to her.
Awesome.
Theoretically, that will drive you.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Ann Watine with Research Data Services, and it's a pleasure to be here with you this morning.
It's so nice to be in person.
Yes, let's see if, I think this theoretical was theoretical.
Okay. It's not driving?
It's
No.
not working?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, Christina will
Okay.
help you.
Perfect. All right, so if we can go forward one. Perfect, thank you. So this is a picture of overall visitation to Citrus County. Normally we focus on overnight commercial lodging visitors, people who are staying in lodging that they are paying for, heads and beds. But this also includes people staying with friends and relatives, or staying in a lodging that they might own and just use on occasional weekends, that kind of thing. So looking at the commercial lodging visitors for 2021 calendar year, all of these percentages are based on what 2021 is up over that current year. So our 2021 overnight commercial lodging visitors are up 4% over 2018, which was an extremely good year, 8.5% over 2019, 16.9% over last year. But it's not just that you are bringing in more visitors. Economic impact and expenditures are up 35% over last year and 26.3% over 2018. So you're not just bringing more people in, you're bringing in people who are bringing more economic impact to Citrus County, which is extremely important. We're seeing that visitors are spending more because they're starting to come from further away and stay for a longer period of time. And so we're seeing that trend. Early on in the pandemic, we were seeing shorter stays and people spending less money when they were here. There were fewer things that they could do, so they were tending to, eat from the grocery store instead of eat in restaurants, and we've seen that swing back to a more normal visitation pattern. So people staying with friends and relatives are up by 4.8% over last year. Their economic impact up 9%. So if we go to the next slide.
Is that okay if we ask questions? as we go?
Absolutely.
And I'm new to the board, so assume, I apologize for any questions that people have asked before, but how do you know when people are in from out of town staying with family
So we do
or friends?
we do 3 prongs to the research. We do surveys with visitors in destination, which helps us know both of those questions, and also get a profile of where they're coming from, how long they're staying, how many people are in their party, are they there for the first time, all of those kinds of things. We do post-visitation surveys with people who have inquired, and people that we have in our database that we know are likely travelers. And we do ongoing monthly surveys with destination lodging partners. So we can not only look at it from the visitor side, we can also look at it in terms of occupancy in hotels and vacation rentals and campgrounds. So we can work from the number of units and the tax dollars, as well as from resort tax collection. So we can look at it in all of those ways to figure out these numbers.
So, for example, when my friends come to visit, I have access to a boat, so they are typically not using the resources that are represented on this council. However, we eat out more.
Absolutely.
And they shop on Citrus Avenue or downtown Inverness for little gifty things in gift shops and whatnot. Are you finding them?
Yes, so they're included in that overnight visitors staying with friends and relatives.
But there's no
category.
Big Brother-ish way. You're not finding
No,
out from.
yeah, we're not tracking their phones.
We've had a lot of Big Brother stuff here, which is kind of cool and kind of
Yeah.
scary all at the same time.
we're not quite that.
So you're doing surveys and then extrapolating the
exactly.
numbers? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, and so we're also generating an estimate of the number of people who are just coming in for the day to enjoy all the things that Citrus County has to offer. And we found in 2021 that they were up by 11% over 20, and up by 3.1% over 2018. And all the way through, you guys as a council had asked us to provide you with more long-term trending, so we really tried to do that in this presentation. So all of that aggregated means that in 2021, Citrus County hosted nearly 1.6 million visitors, which is an all-time record. Spending, with an economic impact of $426 million on the destination, up by 30% over where we were in 2018. All right, so if we can go on. So those, the overnight commercial lodging visitors, which as I said are really our focus, because it's really your focus, are generating $24 million in state and local taxes. Now, not all of that comes back directly to Citrus County, but some of that money does, and it is the equivalent of $370 per household. Last year, that number was $280. So a huge increase in our per household impact in taxes that would otherwise need to be spent by residents to maintain the same level of services. So if we could go to the next slide. So on a quarterly basis, here is the estimated commercial lodging number of visitors, and we've included in this first quarter of 2022, which was up 17.7% over last year. Last year, remember, this time last year, or at that time last year, vaccinations were just starting to roll out. So first quarter of 2021 was still fairly soft, but we are just slightly below where we were in 2018 in terms of commercial lodging visitors. It's a 1.2% decrease for the year. And you can see the big spike in visitation obviously in the second quarter, which is where we had the big hit. But our second quarter numbers are 20% up over 2018, which, as I said, was an extremely good year. Fourth quarter also was very, very strong, bringing us to the numbers that we just looked at. Right, so if we go on to the next number, here's what we look like in terms of direct expenditures. And we are seeing that we've got this is what I was talking about with people staying longer and spending more. We have a 30.3% increase in expenditures and also economic impact over first quarter of 2021. And the next slide is total economic impact. So our total economic impact for the first quarter was just under $100 million, which again is an all-time record. We have never seen economic impact like that before. So on a per person basis, if we go to the next slide, that means that every visitor who comes has a $637 of economic impact on Citrus County. Is the ripple effect of the money that each person leaves behind. So if we go to the next slide, so here is occupancy and average daily rate, and we've given you metrics for the first quarter. Of course, we haven't finished the second quarter to be able to give you those visitor metrics yet. But so first quarter occupancy was up by 11.2% over last year. So the other numbers are looking at 2021 compared. So in 2021 we were still down over 2018, still down, but this was record occupancy for the quarter. And also for April. April was extraordinarily strong, partly because, and we had people in March thinking that maybe we were seeing a slowdown in transient demand. That's not a slowdown in demand, that's because you're hitting capacity. And because, and not just Citrus, but destinations throughout Florida were hitting capacity in March, along with the lateness of Easter, I think that extended demand into April. People just, they couldn't take their vacation in March because they couldn't find a place to stay at a rate they were willing to pay, and came in April instead. And I think that's why you're seeing such strong numbers. So how we collect the occupancy is when the month ends. So on the first of the month, we send out a blast email to all of the industry partners asking for their occupancy and average daily rate for the previous month. You know, so when we hit June 1st, we started asking about May. And I looked at the responses we had for May in the first 6 days, and we'll share a little bit about what they were saying. Obviously, we can't give you occupancy yet, but early indications are that May was also extremely strong. Okay, so if we can go to the next slide. This summarizes, and I know that John will share it with all of you, where we wrapped up for the calendar year and how we were looking, particularly, as I mentioned, fourth quarter was extremely strong. The next slide is average daily rates, which have been phenomenal. So looking at first quarter, for the first quarter, we had an average daily rate of $137 per unit per night, which was up 17% over the previous year. And even the previous year had been up 12% over 2018. So rates that we've just never seen before. And that continued into April with an average rate of $146 per unit per night on average, which is up 13.6%. Even last year's rate was up 50% over the year before, 20% over 2018. All right, so lots of good numbers on the right side. If we go to the next slide, and I'm going to go through this one really quickly because there really is no change. Oh, this is the rest of last year in terms of rate. And we had been seeing double-digit rate increases, but they've, if anything, gotten even stronger into this winter. So the next slide. All right, so this is the number of licensed transient units. It does not include RV sites because they aren't licensed in the same way by the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation. So this is the licensed transient lodging units as reported by the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation, and it is virtually unchanged. There are an additional 3 apartment vacation rental type properties on the books than there were last year. But we have seen, looking back to 2019, significant growth in that vacation rental segment over the past 4 years. No change to speak of in the hotel motel segment, which you all are aware of. All right, so if we can go to and one more, because just as a divider. So part of the reason we're seeing such good numbers is since last year, we're seeing a bump up in party size and a bump up in the length of stay. That length of stay bump is part of the reason that we're seeing people spending so much money. They're just here in destination longer. And the increase in party size as people are feeling more comfortable traveling together is also meaning more people in destination. So I wanted to talk a little bit. So I said I'd looked at those few surveys that we've gotten so far for May. And the reason I was looking at them is I really wanted to be able to talk with you about what the summer is looking like. And there are a lot of flags for summer because of rising gas prices, because of concerns about inflation, because of the rising airfares, because of cancellation of plane flights. There's a lot of concerns looking forward to summer. From the properties reporting so far, because one of the questions we ask them is, we're talking to them now, what does June look like, what does July look like, what does August look like? And it looks like the trending is that July particularly, but also August, are looking pretty strong. June is looking a little softer. And I looked at arrivalist data, which does the very big brother thing of tracking people's phones and how far they're going from where they sleep. And for the first time in June, we're starting at the very beginning of June, but we're starting to see some drop off in the number of people who are on the road. So I think we are seeing some impact of those higher gas prices and a little bit of softening. But, as I said, still seeing very good numbers for May. And I think once June finishes, it'll be strong. One of the other things that we keep an eye on are reservation windows. And back when all of this started, we could call properties on Wednesday, and they could not tell us what bookings would look like for the weekend, because we were trying to be very on top of what impacts were when this all started. Now we are hearing properties tell us that their reservations on average are 30 to 60 days out, and I was even seeing properties saying 90 days or more. And the reason is that people are not so concerned about whether or not they're going to have to cancel that trip. They're pretty sure now if they book that they're going to be able to take it one way or another, where there was that uncertainty factor before. So that's part of what's driving it. Another part of what's driving it is people have had the experience of trying to book and not finding anything available. And I think people very definitely were finding that in March. If you look at that occupancy percent of 94%, that is basically capacity, because there still has to be enough room to, clean rooms and, cancellations and whatever things happen. So effectively, that's about as full as it's possible to be, which is why we're not seeing the occupancy increases in March that we've seen in other months. So I also looked at our travel sentiment research. And the reason that you don't have a slide for this is because I looked at surveys we were getting yesterday to be able to give you the most current information, because I think things are changing a bit, and I wanted to be able to tell you what things are looking like right now. So in terms of concerns about gas prices, last May, we had 39% of the people that we talked to, and the people in our travel sentiment study, because you hadn't heard about it before, and just to remind everybody else, are people with an expressed interest to vacation in Florida. But the population of our database are worldwide travelers. So we have people from Canada, and we have people from Europe. We have people from Florida who travel to other Florida destinations. It's worldwide. So concerns about gas prices last year, and these are different people each month, so it's not necessarily the same group, because we're rolling through a massive, like, 90,000 emails that we can contact to talk to them about travel. 39% last year concerned. This year, 61%. So a lot more concerned, which is not surprising. Rising travel prices, so everything from hotel room to airfare to all of the things, last year at this time was 45%, this year it's 65%. So people are more concerned. The economy last year was 29%, and this year is 49%. So all those things are worrying people. But we categorize people as red light, yellow light, or green light travelers, which is based on what they're telling us about how comfortable they are traveling and when they are likely to travel again. So what we call green light travelers are people who are likely to travel in the next couple of months. Last year that was 48%, and this year it's 64.1%. So although people are very, very concerned about rising prices and things, it sounds like they are looking to get in a trip while they still can, before things get worse. I think that's kind of what we're seeing. Last year, 36% of the people that we were surveyed told us that they had a trip on the books right when we talked to them. This year it's 48%. So even though there's more concern, we're seeing more people with very specific travel intent. In terms of COVID itself, it is still an issue for some people. So we've seen this transient bubble of travel. We've seen these unbelievable, unforecastable records of visitation, not just here, but throughout Florida destinations. And everyone's question is, when are we going to exhaust that bubble of travel? And I do not think we are there yet. I think that there are still people who are getting to the point of being comfortable to travel, and they will eventually be in the market as well. I think that international travel is starting to pick up, but it isn't back yet. Group travel is starting to pick up, but it isn't back yet. So there's still growth path there. But I do want to emphasize that, as amazing as all these numbers are, this is not normal. This was not a normal winter. And it's going to be a hard act to follow come next year. So marketing now is, there are lots of destinations that are having pressures to stop marketing. We've got plenty of people, we do not need to advertise anymore. That's the message that they're hearing, particularly from residents. Now is kind of really the important time to be making sure that your name is out in front of people, because
You have an incoming phone call, sir.
you want to make sure that they are aware of you and know that you are out there. As things really do start to normalize, which has got to happen at some point. So that sort of is a quick summary of what we're seeing. Maybe not so quick, but relatively quick summary of what we're seeing out there. Do you have any questions?
What were the percentages for the travel on the books?
Currently currently have a trip booked was 36% last year and
Great.
is 48%
Okay,
this year.
thank you.
The ADR numbers, are they reflective of anything other than hotel motel?
Yes, they include campgrounds. We have a number of campgrounds that report to us in our regular, so yeah, it includes them as well.
As a general rule, do you find those numbers higher or lower than our hotels?
They tend to be lower. Although there seems to be more seasonality in them. They tend to be lower at this time of year for sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, Visit Florida presentation.
So, I forgot to pronounce your last name again. Rubenzer, okay. I didn't want to make that mistake. So Sam Rubenzer is our partnership rep for Visit Florida. He's relatively new, less than a year. So he's going to give us an update on some of the programs that are going on, some of the other stats that they're seeing in the research, and just kind of give you a heads up on what's coming forward. So, Sam?
Thanks, John. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
As John said, my name is Sam Rubenzer. I'm the Regional Partnership Manager for the Central West region of Visit Florida. So I'm based out of Tampa, but I work with all of our industry partners within a surrounding 13 counties, including Citrus County. And today I'm going to give an update on Florida tourism, Visit Florida's recent marketing campaigns, and a little bit of information about our partnership program. So to begin, I'm thrilled to report that Florida's tourism industry is really thriving. Based on our most recent visitation estimates in Q4 2021, Florida welcomed 31 million visitors to the state, marking the second quarter in a row that we've surpassed pre-pandemic levels. This also reflects significant growth in our international visitation, with a 57% increase in travel from overseas and Canada from Q3. Domestically, we are continuing to dominate. Nearly 118 million domestic travelers visited Florida in 2021, the most in state's history. Our total visitation for the year was only 6% behind 2019, which was our 10th consecutive year of record visitation. This is an incredible achievement, can't really be overstated, and it really did not happen by chance. You go to the next slide. When Visit Florida launched its first rebound campaign in August 2020, visitation to the state was in a decline by nearly 40%, obviously due to COVID. Travel was essentially at a standstill, and restarting it represented the biggest challenge that we've ever faced. While other states were locked down for many months, Florida stayed open, allowing Visit Florida to get back into the market sooner and deliver much needed economic activity for our communities. You go to the next slide. Visit Florida got right to work. From our first in-state campaign to our nationwide expansion, Visit Florida's marketing has helped drive steady visitation growth every quarter and equip Florida with a massive advantage as a destination. Next slide, please. And we show no signs of slowing down anytime soon. Based on the most recent data available from Star Reports for the week of April 17th, rooms sold were up 17.4% from 2021, and occupancy was up 11.1%. ADR, or average daily rate, was up 33.1% compared to last year, yielding a 56.3% increase in room revenue. According to Longwoods International, over 90% of American travelers are planning to take a trip in the next 6 months. Florida tourism has begun 2022 in a position of incredible strength, including in some of our more rural destinations. Between March and November of last year, hotel demand in Florida's small inland counties grew by 11%, faster than any part of the state except for Sarasota and Fort Myers, and hotel revenue grew by nearly 24%. Franklin, Hamilton, Union, DeSoto, Levi, Polk, Marion, Dixie, Hernando, and of course Citrus were all in the top 20 fastest growing counties for domestic visitation according to Arrivalist. Next slide. In spite of inflation and rising gas prices, travelers have made it clear that they want Florida, and Visit Florida is working hard to keep this momentum going. We recently wrapped up 2 major domestic efforts, the first being the Eda Co-Op Campaign. So last year, Visit Florida was awarded $5 million in CARES Act grant funding by the Economic Development Administration, or EDA, to help support the recovery of Florida's tourism economy. 100% of this funding was used to assist our DMO partners throughout the state with Visit Florida's largest co-op advertising effort ever. Following the initial in-state effort last fall, the domestic portion ran from November 29th through April 3rd. Continuing Visit Florida's Power of Vacation messaging, the campaign was hugely successful with 19 total participating partners, including several in the greater Tampa Bay area. The winter campaign. So Florida has long been a popular winter destination, particularly among travelers from colder climates. This year, our annual winter campaign built upon our EDA co-oping messaging by creating a sense of urgency. We weren't asking anymore, we were telling travelers it's time to go exactly where they need to be, which is of course, Florida. So we have a video to play for the campaign. If you click to the next slide. You may have to click it one more time. You see this in the winter, it certainly makes Florida look. If you click to the next slide. Oh, there you go. We've recently launched our annual Families campaign, which will run through the end of this month and hone in on Florida's popularity as the #1 destination for family travelers. Targeting includes many key markets in the U.S., including New York City, Atlanta, Birmingham, Charlotte, Houston, Los Angeles, Seattle, Boise, Portland, Salt Lake City, and also drive markets within a 900-mile radius. Based on the American Express Global Travel Trends report, nearly 80% of travelers said they're looking forward to traveling with family this year, and over 75% planning to travel more with family in 2022 than they did in 2021. As we are a destination made for family vacations, this is obviously great news for Florida. We are also expanding our international efforts, including campaigns in Mexico, Brazil, and the UK. International travelers are vital to the tourism industry, and though this segment still lags behind 2019 overall, we are seeing very encouraging signs of recovery. Based on U.S. overseas market share, in 2020, Florida has actually moved past New York to be the #1 spot for the first time for international travelers since 2001. In addition to Q4's growth, in the Latin American market was a driving force of Florida's total overseas visitation in 2021, with a record 709,000 travelers from Colombia that have now made Colombia our #1 international market. These numbers affirm the effectiveness of Visit Florida's proactive marketing efforts, which helped keep Florida top of mind in our key markets while borders were closed. Now that international travel has fully resumed, we're looking forward to taking these numbers even higher. So far this year, Visit Florida has led leadership delegations to Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, Brazil, and Argentina, and will be visiting several of our other key international markets in the coming months to further grow Florida's presence abroad. Next slide. The Florida tourism industry understands that to sustain itself, one of the ways we must measure our success is by the benefit we provide to our communities. We are on a mission to enrich the quality of life in our communities and are proud to form the foundational economic engine of our state. Through work with its council members, Visit Florida has identified key indicators to assess how tourism impacts quality of life for Floridians. This dashboard provides at-a-glance snapshots of how Florida is tracking on these important metrics. Next slide. Visitors to Florida spend a lot of money while they're here. This economic impact creates jobs, puts money in the pockets of Floridians, helps keep small businesses open, and generates tax revenue for state and local governments that pays for important services. This chart here shows the total amount of money added to Florida's economy as a result of visitor spending. Next slide. The second chart here shows the extra tax revenue that each Florida household would have to pay each year to maintain current levels of government spending if it weren't for the tax dollars that visitors pay to Florida's state and local governments. In both charts, bigger numbers are better. The data in these charts comes from the U.S. Census Bureau and the annual Economic Impact Study commissioned by Visit Florida. Next slide. In Florida, the number of visitors goes up and down depending on the time of year. This is especially true when you zoom into a particular region of the state. Seasonal pressures can cause challenges for businesses and residents who have a hard time planning or adjusting to periods of high or low visitation. Seasonality also poses a challenge to the frontline employees in Florida's hospitality industry who need stability in their jobs. This chart represents the size of the seasonality gap in employment in the leisure and hospitality sector. The number represents the percentage difference in total employment in this sector between the highest and lowest month of the year. April is typically the highest and September is typically the lowest. In other words, if the chart below says 10%, it means that there were 10% fewer leisure and hospitality jobs in the lowest month than in the highest month. Next slide. This chart shows the total visitation to the state in the highest quarter compared to the lowest quarter. Lower numbers represent a more even distribution across the year, which all else being equal is better. It is important to note that during COVID, these numbers have been driven much more by overall shape of tourism recovery rather than by seasonality. Next slide. Tourism affects lives of Floridians in a variety of ways, many good, some not so good. Visitors contribute to the economy and help restaurants, attractions, museums, and many other institutions, which Floridians also get to enjoy, stay in business. Visitors are often blamed for traffic and longer wait times at local restaurants. It is important to make sure that Floridians generally have a positive view of how tourism industry impacts their lives. This graph shows the percentage of Floridians who agree with the statement that Florida's tourism industry has a positive impact on their quality of life. Next slide. So just a quick kind of update on the legislative side. We are thrilled to report that Florida legislature has officially reauthorized Visit Florida to October 1st, 2028. This represents the longest multi-year extension Visit Florida has received in many years and is a huge win for our organization, the tourism industry, and the entire state. In addition, both chambers of the legislature have agreed to fund Visit Florida at the governor's budget recommendation of $50 million for fiscal year 2022-23. While this funding is non-recurring, it will keep Visit Florida fully equipped and able to lead our tourism industry to more success. Next slide. So one of Visit Florida's goals for this year is to engage with many more businesses in the tourism industry and help them better promote themselves to travelers via our partnership program. There are a ton of benefits provided to our partners, starting with an enhanced web listing on visitflorida.com to help their businesses best represent their brand and show off all they have to offer with up to 12 photos, videos, social media links, and more. You can see an example there. Crystal River Water Sports here, a citrus partner of ours, and they have a great enhanced web listing with 12 awesome photos and a video and all kind of things to get them noticed. Our website gets over 10 million unique visitors annually, and having a strong presence is vital to any business in the tourism industry. Another key benefit of being a partner is getting your business or organization listed in the official Florida Vacation Guide. We print and distribute over 400,000 copies each year, and they are highly popular with tourists. If you know of any business that is not signed up as a partner, prior to August 1st, they will not have a listing in the next 2022-23 guide, so it's really important to make that deadline if they're interested. Small business partnership is only $475 annually for a qualifying business, so it's not a huge investment. If anyone knows of any businesses in the Citrus County area that you think would benefit from a partnership with Visit Florida, I encourage you to hopefully put them in touch with me. I'm going to leave behind some information on our partnership program on the table up here, or you can email me directly. My email is up there on the screen, and I will get in touch with anyone. Next slide. As part of the education and training that Visit Florida provides the tourism industry, we are partnering with the Adventure Travel and Trade Association for a 2-day adventure travel marketing program in Okeechobee, Florida on June 22nd and 23rd. The goal of this program is to strengthen the capacity of Florida's unique rural destinations and attractions to compete successfully in the adventure travel / ecotourism market. Registration is only $45 per person per day and covers the cost of lunch and refreshments during program hours, and you do not have to be a Visit Florida partner to register or attend. So if you'd like more information, or if you know of any businesses in the Citrus County that are rural attractions that could benefit from this kind of a workshop, They can email Amber O'Connell up here on the screen for more info, or email me directly and I'll get them in touch. So last slide. So that really wraps it up for me today. Thanks for having me. If you do have any questions, please feel free to shoot me an email and I'll get you the info that you're looking for. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Comments? All
No,
good?
everybody's been good with their presentations this morning. They say it, we get it, we don't have to go, this has been great.
Agree. Okay, then I guess we're moving on to you, John.
Yep. Correct. And I'll forward both those presentations
Please do.
to the board that way. That way you can see the video
Thank
as it's intended. All right, so go to our slides. So you should have the latest numbers on the desk today. They weren't available when we had to put them in everything in the system, but you can see I think we're up overall. I think it's 39% year to date. And that change, right? Somewhere.
Yeah. There's papers in the back.
Yeah.
And then, oh, sorry, hold on.
Right there, I got it. Yeah. Yeah, almost 40%, 39.7 year to date. So if you look at that, you see that we're already at 1.7 total. This is on the sheet, not on the screen, but 1.7 total collection, and last year was 2.4, and there's 5 checks to come in. So there we go. There's the revenue slide. So yeah, clicking right along. The capital reserve number. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I said click. Yeah, that's not what I was moving. It was,
What you were saying next.
right. So the as you see, the capital reserve number is getting to where I think it's going to be a noticeable number. So every time I've had a fund balance that gets near $1 million, all of a sudden it becomes noticeable. So luckily, I was speaking with Ann earlier. We do have a policy for the big requests that we haven't had any yet, but the major one, that's where we set up where they come to us with a letter, and then we say, okay, yeah, we'd like to hear more. Then they come back with the business plan, and there's several tiers for like the large scale things. We're still seeing, I know there's going to be one coming in the next couple of months of a smaller one in the range of the, like we did with Safe Crystal River and the Homosassa Restoration Project, somewhere in that range price. But just as a note that's all of a sudden, some reason when it gets to 7 digits, it triggers people's interest. So, so I just putting that out there that's it's good that we have that balance. I mean, it's great, and hopefully somebody comes up with an idea that triggers that spend. But I think we have a process in place that they really have to win. It's not really, it's based on facts. It's not whether the board says, oh yeah, that sounds like a good deal. This is, they're going to present the business plan, and then we'll run it through another grader before it even goes to the county commission. So, but just kind of history. Something about that number triggers interest. So, let's see. So, yeah, for the month though, you can see that it's, up 25%. That last April was a great month. It was best April ever. So, and as Ann said, I told her earlier, I keep saying, this is not sustainable, and I keep being wrong, but unfortunately, at some point I'm going to be right. That the numbers are going to shift a little bit, and I think that's, when it goes towards budgeting, that may be the one time I'm grateful that we're very conservative on budgeting. That keeps us from a cliff where we get really happy and we put a lot of money in the budget, and then the next year it's not there. We got to slash. I think that is a positive thing for how our spend is going. But I always want more. I mean, I'm a little greedy, but I'm also realistic. That I don't want to have to come back to the board and say, yeah, we got a little overextended. We're going to have to cut a whole bunch of things going into next year's plan. As you heard Ann say, that you know, I remember Daryl saying the time when things were down, that's the time to put the money out there and tell people you're here. So I think that's where I'm keeping us positioned so that we'll have ample resources to do that. So, and then let's see, the next slide is, I think, yep, a little bit of update from Jody. Jody and Terry are currently talking to international people in Orlando at the IPW event. It was interesting that Sam was talking about the Latin American countries. Terry said we've had a huge bump from, let's see, where'd she say it was? I noticed in South America and, let's see, where was it? Brazil. So the South American countries are you know, falling in line with what Sam was saying, is that we're starting to see that interest in our destination, which is fairly new. We've, on our international side, we've generally seen Canada, Germany, and the UK as our strongest ones, but it looks like these other groups are starting to find out about us and want to explore more. So that's good news. And she said overall they've been, I know when Terry left, we did not have any open slots for meetings, which is outstanding. It's good for interest, and it's also the first one in a couple of years where they've actually been on site somewhere to meet with everybody. So it's kind of a reunion as well as people getting back out there. So I think that's also an increase, is where there's just, you know, more people looking for different venues. So I'm sure she and Jody will have a report about that for next month. Let's see what's next.
Sun is shining, the weather is sweet. Make you want to move your dancing feet to the rescue. Here I am.
I'm not sure what we probably have the sound off on this machine, but
I can hear it, but it's very faint.
well, so, but we can, I'll send that slide back out separate again, so you can take a look at it. Yeah, but she's doing some really cool stuff with the Instagram, and I think it's a platform that our destination's made for. And you can see there, I don't know if we're how far ahead we are of her line there for Amelia Island, but once again we're still ahead, and so that was good news. Let's see, comparisons. Okay, I think did we have the sales slide next, or are we done? Oh, okay. So that's the other thing that's coming. You can see that the FAM tours are starting to fill back in, which is great. That's we've been without them for a while just because of everything. So we're super happy that they're coming back, and as you can see, the last two are from Brazil with Visit Florida. So that's something that's a different event for us. So we're looking forward to welcoming them then. But yeah, you can see that's a pretty busy summer for us, as well as some other video shoots that we'll be doing with Madden for some of the different projects that we already have applied for. And what's next? Oh, so one thing you were talking about, Holly was talking about the scary data stuff.
It's awesome data stuff. There's just a little bit of
yeah, right. I know. I understand it is, but I do. I get it. It's like I completely understand. But Arrivalist has a new product that they displayed at the Destinations Florida Marketing Summit that I was at last month. I was waiting for the sales rep to send me some things, but it is a very interesting dashboard that looks deeper into hotels, and so I'm going to get a further walkthrough. They did it. Their pilot project was with Martin County, because they were having trouble. She was having trouble getting her tax collector, like most of them, on board with collecting the money from vacation rentals. And most of the counties that are self-collect, the tax collector, there's a couple of things that they're legally bound to do that create the friction as to why they can't collect the money. So the state collects our money, they have a deal, so we're getting that money. But she found out that they were leaving over $1 million a year on the table through this working with Arrivalist and identifying all these different properties and things. So it was pretty impressive. And so for a self-collection destination like that, that's a huge chunk, because some of their money goes to beach renourishment and things like that. But yeah, now she has a tool to express to her tax collector, like, I mean, you're already getting some money from us from off the top. This much more is available if we figure out a way that we can do it. I think one example, I think Leon County, the county commission made the deal with the vacation rentals versus the tax collector. So the money gets remitted. The tax collector still collects it, but they're not. I think it was sort of a gray area workaround that, but I'm not certain. I knew they were trying to do that, but that I know in Alachua County when I was there, that was the issue, is the auditing and the back taxes were two big things. But it really was the auditing was the sticky point, because that's required in the law for the tax collector. So, so if we ever get to that point, that's something that we may have to address if they don't have it figured out by then. But right now, I don't know that we could recoup in that sort of neighborhood that like Martin County did. So when I get that information from Arrivalist, I'll bring it forward and have you take it, because it is a very interesting piece of how they can dig. And like I said, for the vacation rentals, because they're tracking you on your phone, they have a sort of a heat map, and they can show all the dots where the phones are, and they can pair it up with vacation rentals. So that's how they found out how much money was left on the table. But it also goes into market segments and money spent from markets, and it's a pretty amazing tool. I was afraid to ask how much it was, just in case. So, but I'll find out. But like I said, it was cool enough to find out what it was, even if I knew it was going to be really expensive. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. But that was a great meeting over there. We had there were some, and it's a lot of data and a lot of ROI presentations, and also Visit Tampa Bay did theirs on shifting more, especially for definitely more to a management organization than a marketing one as a whole, where it's more holistic. They're at the table for everything, and so it's something that I think there's a lot of those things that I would aspire to do and make sure that we're on certainly economic development, but they're they have a few different markets that we don't have, that so it's important that the talked about how the public defender is, they're in touch with them, so there's potential issues that might impact group business or things like that they're hearing. So, but so I thought it was an excellent presentation, and they have I think it's on their website. They did an animation very similar to the information that was presented today from Research Data, but called Measure the Treasure, and it shows in a animated format how much tourism generates for them, and their area was like $4.6 billion comes into the community because of visitation. But it's a very digestible way, and they did 3 different travel segments to show the different types of visitors for their area. But I'll see if I can find the link and I'll send it out, because it's about 4 minutes, and it's, like I said, it's a very digestible way to see the value of what we do. And we have the hard numbers, and maybe I'll figure out a way to come up with an animated version of it. But I'd like having the hard numbers too, so we can, people ask that this is how much, this is the value, especially the $637 per visitor, what they bring into the community in money. And then Commissioner Kitchen always liked, what am I saving my residents? And that's up from where it's been. $370 is the highest that I remember since I've been here for what it would save in residents' tax burden. So that's a pretty good chunk, especially as things are creeping up higher and higher everywhere. So, so any questions? Okay, good. Next month we'll have Madden will do the marketing plan presentation.
Awesome.
Where they I don't know, we haven't had many discussions on it yet, so I don't know how far in depth they'll go, like we're gonna do this program and this program, but it'll certainly be the categories, and they'll have whichever ones that they already know that we're gonna do. I know some of the television things that are penciled in, but at least we'll see where the money's getting cut up, and if there's any questions or any places that we wanna increase. That'll give us time to view it and still make changes before the new year starts.
Well, you made one comment, I think it was Ann who said that you need to advertise when things are soft versus
Yes.
when they're not. That is 32 years now of arguing with clients that when sales go down, they always do a percentage of sales, which it should be the obverse. Because when advertising goes down, things are cheap. It's cheaper to buy mind share at that point. So I definitely would validate that line of thinking. When are we going to start on the really cool augmented reality?
So that's I was talking with Ash before the meeting. That's already started. The company's already starting to roll. I will find out from them where we are on RFPs, because that was the other component. Was we had enough lead time for them to develop it would take 6 or 8 months to develop the actual experience. So the other component was, where are we going to do the activations? And the CDC had asked to see the RFPs, and I haven't seen them yet. So that'll be part of our discussions as when we start talking about our marketing. When we have those meetings where we're going to cut things up, is follow through. Is like, how soon can we expect those so that they can start wrapping their head around how much we want to spend, or if we want to spend, or how do we want to progress in which cities, which way we want to go. Because like TJ said that one day, that the one zoo came back would have wiped out the whole budget. You know, they had talked about 200,000, and that's what the zoo wanted, and that's not really.
Is that Cincinnati?
It was one of Cincinnati or Columbus. I don't remember which one, but it was, that's a non-starter. I mean, we're trying to do multiple spots and trying to find those ones that are the best fit.
We need a slightly less expensive proof of concept too.
Yes, one of it 200 seems, that's outside the realm. When we, I'm glad they recognized that was not one to bring back. So, and that prompted the RFP. So, best of my knowledge, they're out there, and we're just waiting to compile them, and I'll have an update.
Cool. Anything else?
One question. Are there any plans to advertise on more social media platforms, or are we just using Instagram and Facebook?
Well, right now, Instagram and Facebook are the ones that we've had the most success with. We're open to things. I know that some of the issues like TikTok and things like that, we can advertise on those, but what the issue is, because of being a county government, our system that captures everything for public records doesn't talk to TikTok right now. So we can't make our own stuff, but we could advertise, because that's a different level. That's so we've looked into that. I mean, I think that's some of the ideas that they'll be coming back to us in July. We have our account manager is new, been with the company for a while, but he's new to our account, and he's got some different ideas from our previous account manager. So I mentioned to have those talks, but those kind of things. Advertising on those platforms are good, but we're limited to when we create content to whatever our it's called archive social, whatever that captures for public records. Yeah, because we wanted TikTok's everywhere, and the same thing with Snapchat when that was hot. Honestly, I never could wrap my head around how a destination could really do that, but Same with Twitter. I know it exists, but I always see people get in trouble on Twitter, so I just kind of stay off. But I know it's a thing, you know, I recognize it, but because, as I mentioned earlier, everything that we have is so cool visually that those two platforms, we see the most success. So, but we're open to finding things, you know, like I said, I know you can go down the TikTok rabbit hole if you're not careful, and it's 2 hours later, and you've been watching videos for 2 hours, and you just you don't know where you started. But so yeah, I'm interested in at least seeing how we can advertise on those platforms, because they're being utilized. So it's just, how do we get there? Anything else? Okay.
All right, F1. Jackie, you got anything?
Yes, we're gearing up for our July 3rd Patriotic Evening. It's going to be good. Another new format we're bringing in. So
New format? Like what?
we're bringing in the Montgomery Gentry.
Oh, yeah,
We're doing
yeah.
live music as opposed to what we had done in the past, and it's going to be different, and we're excited about it. And we're already getting nibbles, I guess you'd call it, people from out of state. Apparently the fan base is still amazing, and people from all over are wanting to know, you know, information and how to get there, where to stay. So we'll see how this does. It's kind of like a test for us and for what we can do.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking forward to it.
All right. Anything else, board? Open to the public? Think we're good? Yeah? Alrighty. And if there's nothing else, then
The next meeting is, I think,
July
Lost-
13th?
13. Yep.
July 13th at 9 a.m.
Yep. So that will be, like I said, that'll be when we see the first version of the media plan, at least certainly in categories and whatever things that we've already agreed to do. So I know like the Good Sam for the RVs, that's already they already had agreed to that, but that's been in the last few plans, so that's not a change. It's just that's one of the best things that we do besides attending the RV shows for that segment. So, but that's the only one for sure I know that's already booked.
Okay, cool. All right, then, so nothing further? We
Thank
are
you.
adjourned.